are live in 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. And welcome everyone to another episode of Vanessa The Vivacious show. We have been away in Orlando at Podfest. I can't tell you how amazing it was and how amazing it was to be amongst other podcasters, other networking folks. You had brand folks, influencer folks, network folks, professional folks who've been around for decades who just oozed and shared their experience and professionalism, and everyone was so welcoming. One thing you'll know about podcasters if you hang around with them is they are amazing resources and will just talk to you with no pitch, no pre-course, they will just talk to you. If you talk to them, they'll talk to you. And then secondly, and not most importantly, but secondly, they also party pretty hard. I did not know that podcasters could party that hard, but oh boy, was I mistaken. You know, there were some people that were of age, if not a little more than of age. I would say seasoned. That's what I say. I don't say old. I say seasoned. There were seasoned people who were just like cutting it up and just like really like hitting the dance floor hard like it was the last day on earth. Oh my God. I watched them and I got exhausted. I had these really super cute heels on, this super cute form-fitting dress. I was working it, but my feet hurt, so I couldn't dance. But that being said, Podfest is more than just a party. I'd never been before, and there were tons of people who had never been before. So it was a lot of exploration and new friends and new experiences. And not only did you gain such insight on your profession or on your work, but you also just had meaningful connections and just really amazing conversations and relationships that started from this Podfest. And they are still active today. You find yourself with a ton of business contacts, a ton of cards, a ton of referrals, a ton of just amazing essence from these other people that you connected with. And then you just have them, you know, for life or for the next part of your chapter, whatever that is. So if you have never been to Podfest, but you're a creative, don't even have to be a podcaster, but you're just in that creative energy space, you need to go. It is every year in Orlando is the big one, but they also have stuff throughout the year. So I will put that description for Podfest in the link so you can find either something happening nearby or you can find the one for Orlando for next year. They have speakers and they have workshops. They have VIP areas. I got a free massage and snacks. That was cool. And I met so many amazing people. So highly recommend Podfest. I wasn't supposed to start with that, actually. So excuse me. Blah, 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 blah. I was supposed to start with gratitude. So first and foremost, thanks to God. Thanks to everyone that has ever come into my life or ever gone out of my life, because people who exit our lives are also just as important as those who enter our lives and make our life meaningful. So thank you, people who caused adversity. Appreciate it. Much love. And then thanks to the people who make our lives what they are, the people that make us smile when we wake up, the people who make us smile when we go to bed, people that make us smile our day or they laugh. We laugh because they laugh. They make us laugh. And the best thing in the whole world is laughing until your tummy hurts. I adore that. I adore people who are authentic, who are true to themselves, who don't give a crap about what it is that they're saying. You know, mind your P's and Q's in a professional environment, sure. But once you're off the clock, once the headset is off or what have you, you know, you can be as real as you want. It won't surprise me. Now, if you say something mean, might surprise me, but best believe I can come right back. So just saying, grew up with 4 brothers and a sister in the hood of San Antonio. There are multiple hoods, but I can hold my own is what I'm trying to say. I am so grateful to Podfest, to Podmatch, to all of the connections that I made there at Podfest. I'm so grateful to you for watching, listening, those of you that have been with me since 2012. This podcast started in 2012, and it's such a huge flex because there are so many people that are just beginning or like just started in the last few years. And I have the honor to say that I started in 2012 with a tiny microphone that looked like a Q-tip, had a 3.5 inch output that was rinky dinky. I plugged it into a PC. It was copyright stealing music, didn't even know it. And then somehow, grace of God, well, actually at the time, Apple wasn't paying that much attention. Don't hate me, Apple. But I was able to, rip off the music from however I did it. I'm very resourceful. I was able to rip the music and then place it into my episodes. And I was so nervous. I would just be like, no, we're going to play some music. So like I said last time, I missed my calling as a VJ, but hey, or a disc jockey, but that's cool. I can still do it. Like, I would be happy to do it with any alternative radio station. I am happy to do it. I'm not 100% fluent in Spanish. So, I can speak Spanish. Yeah, okay. You get the point, but I'm not as fluent to be like the best Spanish audio caster, DJ, whatever, it is what it is. Breaks my heart every day. But I am working on my Spanish, just not really with Duolingo, more so like with other Spanish people or music or films, things like that. Novelas, things like that are good. So if you're going to learn Spanish, immerse yourself in the culture and in the arts of it, as opposed to Duolingo. Because yes, you can learn things on Duolingo, but you can't learn the essence of the Mexican culture without it. That being said, I do want to talk about a new development, which you may have already seen. I am super overjoyed and honored to be the recently announced executive producer for the film Charcoal Woman, which 3 words and you won't not wait. That makes no sense. You will not want to miss it. Okay. Mexican horror film. Like what? It's like that. Was it the Google movie where they're like, what? Anyway, yeah, I think it is. Internship, right? So I received a message on Facebook Messenger, right, from this gentleman who was like, hey, do you want to executive produce our film? And I'm like, hey, what's the film? And so kept an open mind, because it's always important to be open. So I let him respond, and he sent me a pitch deck, which is a visual compilation of what it is that the film is about, right? Looked at it, looked visually appealing, and I was like, okay. And then he goes, if you like it, I'll send over the script. I'm like, okay. So he sends over the script, and I'm like, okay, interesting. And then I had not yet finished the script, but he was like, hey, I'm jumping on a call with the director, with some of the producers and some of the team. So if you want to jump on and see what it's like, and then you can decide if you want to come on or not. And I was like, okay. I had a meeting that night with my musician client, CC Cross Band Official, I believe, on all the platforms. You should follow her. She's one of the most prolific Texas singer-songwriters I've seen in ages. So totally follow her. But that being said, I was just so honored to just be asked. Like, I wasn't told, like, send us your reel, prove yourself, anything like that. I was just asked, like, hey, would you like to do this? That's like saying, hey, would you like to drive this Ferrari? Would you like to own this Ferrari? Yet, or better, would you like to own the company that makes these Ferraris? Like, that, unheard of. Anyone I've talked to in the industry or industry adjacent is like, wait, what? Not only, it's not a PA, a production assistant. It's not an assistant. It's an executive producer role, which can mean so many things. But above all, it means being able to be part of something that is not only, having to do with Mexican culture, but it's something that is such a unique art form within a film format that can push boundaries and do so much for the community, for the culture. So it has multifaceted meanings, right, for all of us. But for those of us who are of Mexican descent, which the director, the producers, a bunch of different folks are of Mexican descent, and that is so freaking cool. You don't often see a whole lot of professional production, or even production for that matter, that where everyone, if not most, are Mexican culture roots, right? And so it's a big deal. Anytime you see something that is produced or directed or created or written by someone of, indigenous culture or of Mexican culture, of a minority culture, that is a huge deal. Even females, right? Females have a difficult road ahead when it comes to creative arts, when it comes to film. We all know that. When it comes to audio podcasting, when it comes to videography, when it comes to anything having to do with the creative arts, unfortunately, and not to hate on men, but it is male dominated. And so I have found myself at times in situations where I'm filming, I'm doing the video, I'm in charge, I'm directing, I'm doing what have you. And they go over to my DP or go over to my assistant and say, oh, are you in charge? And he's like, no, she's in charge. And so it's so interesting. It's interesting to be, in a room full of people where you're thought to be anything but the source or the director or, the energy behind that creative force. Right. So, and not to say any hate on men or any hate on anyone, because I just do not go there. I don't believe in that. I just find it funny. I just find it funny that sometimes females just have a really difficult time. And it's not funny. Sorry, that's a wrong choice of words. Not funny, but it's it is significant to say that as a female, especially as a female and a minority, it's really hard. It's really, really hard to not only get work, but to create the work, to get finance for the work, to really live your creative essence. And then not to mention if you're poor, and not by choice, but just if you don't have the means to create these multi-million-dollar films, if you don't have the capital for equipment, nonetheless, for equipment to record, for equipment to produce. I mean, let's be honest. My camera is a computer right now. This is an iMac 2013 or 2015. No, 2013, I think. But I have two iMacs that are both in the same year running on, one has an i5 chip, one has an i7. And the camera is, older, so hence the look, right? The lighting equipment, I have to kind of jerry rig until I get the actual equipment that I want. Audio is good, thank the Lord. But still, equipment is prohibitively expensive. And so something that you will see on my production channel, which is YouTube, at Vanessa The Vivacious, you will see a playlist and it'll get filled a little more as we go. I just haven't really had the opportunity to, also the money to purchase the stuff I need. But the point of that channel's playlist is to highlight and review items that are under $100. So that way we as filmmakers, as creatives, period, can use these pieces of equipment and know that they're high quality and not just random cost efficient crap that's put out by places. So here's the thing. There are people that I know that use equipment that's really low key, like not the best, but only because they saw it was like the choice item on that website. And I'm like, no, if it doesn't have sound samples to let you know what the microphone sounds like, if it doesn't have any kind of details on what the specs are for that piece of equipment, no, don't buy it. I don't know if you know this, but reviews online can be purchased. I once received a gig to just write reviews on a product, whether I used it or not. Like, come on, like those things are purchased, bought and paid for by whomever. And so it's not always the case that those particular reviews are legitimate. So piece of advice, right? Piece of advice right now. If you're a creative, if you are a producer, filmmaker, director, podcaster, blah, 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 all of those things, do your research. Do your research and talk to your friends that are in the industry and have done work. Or if you're not in the industry, talk to someone that you think would talk back to you, or someone that's less on the hierarchy as far as entertainment is concerned, and ask them about what they use and why. Because then you'll gather some knowledge on what they use, but then also like intentionally purchase correctly and not just buy some random crap that's going to break in 2 days or something that you're going to regret buying. Buyer's remorse for equipment is the worst, because not only do you feel bad for buying it, but you see it in the corner and you're just like, well, you were a bad decision, much like sometimes the people that we meet. But I digress. So gratitude, so grateful. Thank God for this new chapter in life. There's been some recent transitions, which I'm just ecstatic about. When a major one happened, I woke up with the most perfect peace. And if we want to be transparent, I'm going through a divorce. And so starting over is exhilarating and so exciting. I'm so excited to just like sell my house and get this new spot so I can just keep on going and do amazing things. I know, and I've been told, but I know deep inside that there is this fire, there's this energy. And what I think of most, which is so random, is that when I was like in my teens, maybe I was in my teens, my sister's boyfriend, they lived in an apartment together. And I stayed with them sometimes and I would entertain them because I was just a dumb, wacky kid. And so I'd entertain them and try to like make them laugh. And the boyfriend turns to my sister and he says, I don't know what it is, but she's got it. I don't know what it is, but she has got it. And that just fueled me even more. It stayed with me for life. Alex Rodriguez, thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. Oh my God, that changed. It didn't change my life, but it did over time. Not right away, but it did over time. And I've always been artistic. I've always been creative. I've always been that solo observer from early on, isolated, didn't really know why, but I didn't really care either because I was in my backyard holding concerts for the grass, singing to blades of grass. I was going to the movies and watching films and dissecting the plot and then understanding the characters and then going outside into the world and observing people. And that was my childhood. I listened to artists like Yanni and soundtracks for film, and I imagined movies in my mind. I thought everyone did that. Apparently not. I wrote books in the second grade. All these crazy things that I did from young age up until now, it's all been leading to somewhere. And I know that that's huge. So if you know me, awesome. Stay with me. I love you. If you don't know me, awesome. Jump in, subscribe, follow, all that good stuff. Because I promise we are going places and you'll want to be on this ride. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. I received the name Vanessa the Vivacious back in college when I was doing a icebreaker. I volunteered for this thing where like community professionals team up with college kids, and then you and younger high school age kids, you commune as a little unit and you go out and you inspire them to do better. The community professional inspires you. And so I don't know, hand of God, right? I was teamed up with a professional, all right, because it gets better. I was teamed up with a professional who was in film. Like what? Like it was random. She was on the board of directors for the Lone Star Film Society, which then had the Fort Worth International Film Festival. Now I believe it's called Lone Star Film Festival. But she was like, hey, you should come to the board meeting and present yourself and then see about getting on the board and getting to be part of the festival. I was like, heck yes, please. I skipped class. No joke. I skipped class to go to this cafe to meet this board of directors like a baller. I don't even know how I got there. I think I took a bus and walked. I don't know. Who knows? So I get to this cafe. I walk in and I'm talking to this board. I don't know what I'm doing. I had printouts of ads that I did, like ads for products that were so funny, like Ben Gay, and it says I've been gay for years, and I had pictures of various old folks using Ben Gay, and it's just funny. And then I had an ad for Dasani, and for Dasani it said something to the effect of like, do you can see yourself in Dasani, and it has Dasani with a reflection of water of an ocean. It's really cool. But I shared all these things that I had created because I'd always been into graphic design, so I shared these images with them and was like, here's my portfolio. This is what I got right now. Now, mind you, if you don't know me, just a quick little tiny backstory. My very, very first film, air quotes, was on Windows Movie Maker. Back then, we didn't have everything that you have now. So you're lucky. We didn't have CapCut. We didn't have Riverside. We didn't have Premiere or much of Adobe. I don't even remember seeing Adobe. I think maybe Acrobat was around, but that was all it was. And I don't even know, honestly, like there was nothing, right? We had, if you were lucky, you had some kind of audio equipment or some kind of video camera, over the shoulder video cameras. I had one in high school and I tried to make some stuff with it, but it wasn't quite gelling, my high school film project. I remember it. I kind of followed this string of lights and then, kind of did like a 360. And then I did like a street interview with one of my friends and she was sitting on a curb. I didn't really get that far, but I turned it in and the professor or the teacher, high school film teacher, loved it. And I was like, okay, I don't know, but he liked it. So something was cool. Then I got into film school at a university and that didn't work out. Life happens. So I went home and it was the most sad thing to come home, having been a first generation college student and a minority and having had scholarships, loans, grants. I graduated in the top 1%. I want to say that I was like either 6 or 9 out of 626 students. I worked really hard in high school. I was in band. I was first chair. I did everything in National Honor Society, ROTC, all that stuff. And I made it. I made it to college. I waitressed all the way through high school. I worked full time plus all those activities. And I even started working at 13. I was behind the bar at a Christian rock venue. So I've been working my whole life. I had to work at 13 to give myself food and to give myself necessities, toiletries, basic things that I needed. And this family took kindness on me. They gave me this pseudo job and then they gave me money at the end of the night. And I'm sure they knew that was the only money that I had that would feed me and clothe me and take care of me. And so it was really amazing. The Garcias, thank you guys so much. I appreciate you more than you know. And so I had this secondary church family and that was wonderful because I really needed them. And then I met my best friend and we'll talk about her on the next episode because there's some really cool stuff that I think you'd be interested in. I don't want to let it all out today because if I do, this will be like an hour-long episode. I could totally do that, but you don't want that. That's too much vivaciousness. So let's move on. Either way, I did all this stuff and I got to college, went home, failed. And then I said, well, I need a purpose because serving people is my whole life. So I went to Seattle, did AmeriCorps, bad things happened, went homeless, went back to Texas. And then somehow, some way pulled myself out of my depth of despair. And I'm sure if I thought about it for a moment, I can figure it out. And actually, I'm hoping to speak at Podfest next year to talk about burnout and to talk about experiences, resilience, all sorts of things. And somehow I did it. We're here today. We have Humanity 2.0 podcast. We have the video series. I have, all kinds of hands in different things, production company, now executive producer for film. But also before that, I spent 4 years with a docuseries and interviewed people on their podcasts. So I was that host and EP for that one. And I talked myself into an internship that didn't exist. I worked with people that I probably never would have worked with on various parts of the world. One of my hugest flexes, I promise you this is a good one. As a production management professional, well, let me go back. So for the docuseries, I was a volunteer starting. I became community manager. I became production manager. I became managing director, second to the CEO for that series. I then also worked on the commercial side with their production company. I was production manager. So all of that basically entails me being awesome and then training other people how to be awesome. I trained 3,000 plus content creators and visual journalists on how to interview people, what good technique looks like, all kinds of things. And then I had separate meetings with them to encourage them and to push them further. And there are some that are out there that will tell you, yes, she did a good job. I love her, blah, 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 blah. You can see things on my LinkedIn. And if you know Podmatch, there's a lot of guest reviews on Podmatch as well. We'll talk about Podmatch a little later. But all that to say, I worked really, really hard. And then one of my hugest flexes, and I'll never forget this, is I personally put together a production. I put together a production in less than 48 hours. It gets better. I put together a production in less than 48 hours in, are you ready? France. France, people. I'm not talking about France or Paris, Texas. I'm talking about France, like France with the French people. You know, that one, the one that has cool clothes. So yeah, I don't know. Sometimes I amaze myself anyway, but fake it till you make it though. That's the game, but you better be worth it when you make it. You better have, studied, right? So yeah, I put together a shoot in France in less than 48 hours and it got the job done. The mission was completed. Everybody was happy. And that was amazing. I'm so happy of that. I'm so proud of that work. I just really made it happen. And it was just awesome. So I really give myself credit for that. Now we've talked about Podfest. We've talked about gratitude. Let's talk about humanity. Humanity 2.0 podcast and the series exists to inspire humanity to create that 2.0. Because right now in the world, it's so messed up and we need more positive content that encourages and inspires and makes us want to be better. We should always want to be better. And so that series, the video series, which only has a few episodes right now, but the podcast is getting recorded and released like twice a week. So if you're not already following and listening or subscribing to the social channels, it's at Humanity 2.0 podcast on Instagram, Facebook, no, not Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and LinkedIn's under my name, but you can look up Vanessa The Vivacious on LinkedIn, on Facebook. There's a company profile for my production company, Vanessa The Vivacious Productions on Facebook. It's vtvp.vanessathevivacious. I have link trees that can help you get to all of that. So I'm going to put those in the description as well. But I would really encourage you to like, to share, to follow, because like I said before, we are on a trajectory, not just a journey, but a trajectory on up. Like nobody's business. If you know me, you will know that I do not do things half-assed. I do not do things just to do them. Oh, let me tell you, when I got that internship, I got it because I said to this amazing woman who is a filmmaker / tutorial, wonderful Adobe certified instructor. I said that whatever I know, I will rock the hell out of, right? And whatever I don't know, I will learn and I will rock the hell out of it. And now I said the S word, but I'm trying to be PC. So anyway, funny, I'm trying to be PC on my own show. I don't get it, but whatever. So I lead with intention. I attack everything I do with vivaciousness and tenacity, and I am not one to leave any crumbs behind because we only have the one life. And I've been in such a place so many times where I've almost lost that life. And so I know what it is to experience life with nothing and then to experience life with some things. But I know that that experience with everything that I could possibly want and more is happening and it's coming. And so I welcome you to come on the journey. Follow this podcast. This is my flagship show, and we are recording on Riverside. I'm going to release it on Riverside like they promised us. We can record, we can edit, we can, or I don't know if they said edit, but they said you can record and you can push it out through social via Riverside. So that's what we're doing. We're recording this now. I'm going to add the intro, outro, and then just push it out on Wednesdays. So join me every Wednesday. I hope you enjoy this episode. Be vivacious. You watching, listening, you be vivacious. How about that? Challenge yourself to be vivacious and go look it up if you don't know what it means, because when you do, and when you know that word and you try your best to embody the essence of that definition, you will experience life like you've never known it, or maybe you won't. Maybe you'll understand that based on your decisions and your path that maybe you haven't been living a vivacious life, and that's okay too, because your experience is yours. And if you decide that you want to change it, the funny thing is, you don't even have to try very hard. Okay. You can change a small thing and then go from there and then celebrate those small changes. Darn it. Celebrate yourself. Stop thinking that it's a bad thing to celebrate yourself, because it's not. If you do it in such a way that you're still lifting up others and then you're supporting yourself, but also cheering yourself on, sometimes you're the only cheerleader that you have. And so you have to cheer yourself on. Don't look at it as vanity. Don't look at it as pride. Look at it as you supporting yourself when no one else is there. And if they are there, then it's an addition. It's an addition of awesomeness that you deserve, because you deserve everything that you want and more. And maybe what you want isn't what you get, but who cares? Because you tried and you made the difference. And if you got out of bed this morning, if you got out of bed tomorrow, you win. You already won. It's not to do with what happens that day, but you got out of bed and you did something, so you won. Okay. You're a winner. And sorry, went off on a tangent, but I'm just so passionate about that right now. Do stuff, meet people, go be somebody, because you are somebody. So just saying. Now, today, I interviewed two people on Humanity 2.0 podcast. I interviewed a a blog writer who was a speaker, and then an interior designer, and then currently a blog writer. She was just so darn impressive at 61, I believe. And she is just an example that just resonates with me and soon with everyone, to know that you will go through some seasons in your life. You will change. Who you are today may not be who you are tomorrow, and you have to be okay with that. You have to be okay with being uncomfortable, because when you're uncomfortable, that means that you are experiencing change and transition to a better place. And if it's to a worse place, then that's only temporary and it's going to become a better place. So be comfortable with being uncomfortable and embrace that which you don't know. Go out purposely and find that which you don't know, because you just need these new experiences, and they are what will push you into who you need to become or who you are going to be in the future. It's almost like going out and meeting your future self. It's worth it. I highly recommend it. I can't tell you how much I recommend it, because I've been there. If you're in a bad place, I've been there. If you're in a negative place, I've been there. If you're in a place where there are no doors, there are no windows, I've been there. I've been there. And I promise you that you can get out of there. You have what it is within you to do what's necessary to help you move forward. So it's not just self-help books. It's not just music or inspirational videos on Instagram or TikTok. It's you. It's you happening to this world. The world is not happening to you. It is you happening to the world. And just embrace that and know that you are 100% supported by someone in this world. And if you don't have a someone in this world, or you don't think of one right away, hi, I'm the person supporting you. I'm the person that is encouraging you to be vivacious, to be yourself. Pretty soon, I suppose I'll build a community and we can all go in and celebrate together, because how cool is it when you celebrate with strangers strangers or people that you know and you just create this community, heck yeah, I'll create this community. I think if I create it, then they will come, maybe. And if they don't, I'll have a party by myself. I don't mind dancing by myself, just saying. That being said, I talked to this blog writer and then I transitioned into the next interview, which was like night and day difference, but still inspirational. So somewhat similar. I interviewed, wait for it, a death doula. What is a death doula? Well, if you think about a doulas help during a particular process, right, of the mother's, pregnancy, all that good stuff. And then you have a death doula who helps during that final stage of life and helps you to be comfortable and helps you to figure out a plan if you're planning, final decisions and steps. And they're really cool. This one that I met at a market, I interviewed her for a different client and she was just so magnetic. Everyone loved her. But then I was like personally invested in knowing more and just being her friend. And so I invited her to be on the podcast. She was on it today. She was totally amazing and inspiring. And so be sure to watch out for that episode. I may just have to like reorganize some episodes because they are just too good not to watch. Oh my goodness. So I do release episodes for Humanity 2.0 podcast on Mondays and Fridays. And then I do this Vanessa The Vivacious show, on Wednesdays. So it depends on Wednesdays. Just know that it'll be Wednesdays. If I miss a Wednesday, then, so be it. But then you'll just go back and you'll listen to the other ones that are already posted. No biggie, right? We all watch reruns. It's all good. Everyone knows that Brenda and Dylan get together on 90210, right? Well, if you don't, spoiler alert, they do. They totally get together. And then the stuff happens and Kelly and Donna. Oh, God, don't get me started. Anyway, so 90210, I seriously don't know where that came from. Death doula, amazing. Coming up on Humanity 2.0 podcast. And I'm just overwhelmed with happiness and joy. I have a note to talk about masterclass in networking, and I don't know why. I'm a parakeet. You'll find if you listen to my shows, sometimes I can be a little bit of a parakeet, meaning like my brain might just be like, oh, I forgot. And then it won't come back. Or like it'll jump around like a parakeet. Or I'll tell the guest, oh, I have 2 points. 1, two, ooh. And then I move on. But that's okay because, it's like they say, I'm sure somewhere, I know they do, you always keep the cameras rolling, right? Always be filming. I don't know. I digress. My brain is a little bit low on oxygen, so bear with me. Right? Oh, goodness. Networking is so important. Get out of your house, get out of your pajamas, go to a networking event. There's a ton of meetups everywhere. You can't swing a cat without hitting a meetup. Not that you would. Business events, go to them, even if it's not your business. I've done that. I've crashed a Boeing party in the Space Needle. That was interesting. Won't go into that, but it was interesting. Effectively, I walked up to some guy and I was like, hey, I'm your date. Let's go. So we went into this party and I got to have drink tickets and play Russian roulette and God knows what, have sorts of food. The lady comes up to me and says, are you supposed to be here? And I said, I was just looking for the bathroom. Like, how dare there not be signage for the bathroom? So I go to the bathroom and then like I do one of those like look out, right? And then I left. But that was long ago. Sorry, Space Needle, Boeing. What did I know? I was just a plucky 20-something. So networking is important. Go out and network. If you don't have a network, find one. There's 8 billion people on this earth. Come on. You can meet a couple of them at least and then go from there. But it is a people business. Everything is people business, right? Retail, hospitality, everything is people business. Even mortuary science, right? Being a mortuary, that's a people business. My death doula guest today said, I want to put the fun back in funeral. And I was like, oh yeah, it does say fun. So that was an interesting conversation. Again, you're going to love her and the other speaker guest on Humanity 2.0 podcast. I do want to shout out Podmatch. Podmatch has been integral in giving me so much support. For those of you who are podcasters or podcaster hopefuls, Podmatch is a platform that is often referred to as the dating site for podcasters. It's not a dating site. It's not a swipe left, right that I know of, but it does have that kind of vibe, right? So when you go on Podmatch as a host and you sign up, it's like maybe $6 a month. It's not even expensive. You sign up and you go and fill out the profiles and do all the good stuff. And then you're matched by their algorithm with potential guests. You don't even have to go searching for the guests. It's like you get an inbox full of guests trying to pitch you, wanting to be on your show, choose who's relevant, match with them, pass if they're not relevant. And then it just gets smarter and gives you new people. You can also search for guests. That's totally fine. But the biggest takeaway is that the guests are not huge, but they are just like well-versed in whatever it is that they're talking about or whatever you're talking about. They are like amazingly credited and or if not experienced people within these areas that having them as a guest is a gem. And then if you're a guest person that needs to promote books, videos, your brand, whatever, you can be a guest on anyone's show that you match with, that they accept you, right? So same process, just backwards. You can sign up as a guest and then go on as many shows as you need to promote, and they will 100,000% promote you and get it out there. So you can't lose whether you're a guest or a host. And then here's one thing that I found interesting. So back when I first started on Podmatch, the reason why I was on Podmatch to begin with was because the podcast that I was hosting called Are You Happy Podcast, they wanted me to go find the best podcast platform out there that could help get guests and, referrals, etc. So then I find Podmatch. I think I got an email. I signed up. I went over. I did all the things with the profile, and then I had matches right away. And I started doing the hosting of guests that I interviewed and such, and they were just phenomenal. But the whole time I'm thinking, when's the shoe going to drop? This is too good. Never dropped. It's been a number of years now, and the shoe never dropped. In fact, I don't even know where the shoe's at, but Alex Sanfilippo and Alicia Sanfilippo, the CEOs of this platform, they interact with everyone. They support and lift you and help elevate your show as much as possible. They are amazing humans. When do you have a CEO that's in the trenches with you and giving value and teaching and supporting and lifting? Like, never. And then another amazing tidbit to know is that they also pay commission to the hosts. So if you host people on your podcast and you get them via Podmatch and you do all the things to schedule with them, Podmatch is going to pay you a commission. Now, there is no platform to this day for podcasters that pays commission. Nobody's profit sharing. They're keeping the profits, but not Podmatch. Podmatch is sharing the profits with you by giving you commissions on the guests that you interview. If it's a brand new guest that just signed up, that's a double commission. And then they also have a community where you can commune with other podcasters, ask questions, leave hopeful stories. It's such an amazing community. You can exchange so much. So that being said, Podmatch is the place to be if you're a podcaster or a hopeful or a guest. I'm going to put their description, my affiliate link in the description for the episode. And I highly recommend you to start your podcast journey with Podmatch, and you will not be, what's the dang word? You will not be displeased. Let's just say that for now. You won't regret it. That's what I mean. Lord, I need to breathe. Podmatch, amazing. Shouting them out. Seriously, thank you, Podmatch, for everything you've done for me and everything that we're going to do together. Seriously, you guys are tremendous. I got to meet them at Orlando Podfest. Got to meet them and hang out for a while. So again, Podmatch, my success is your success, truly. Friends, let's talk about friends. We all need them. We all have them, hopefully. If you don't have friends, you got one right here. Feel free to message me anytime on Instagram, any of the social platforms at Vanessa The Vivacious. Send an email if you want to Humanity 2.0 podcast at Gmail or Vanessa The Vivacious at Gmail. But I'm always willing to chat. I'm always willing to send a message of affirmation, positive affirmations, and just kind of lift you up. That's what I do. So if you need a word, if you need a friend to chat to, hit me up. I'm always around pretty much. If I'm not around, I will return the message in a timely manner, and just know that you are loved and you have friends because you got one right here. So just so you know. Now, the movie I referenced earlier called Charcoal Woman, I am so honored to be the executive producer for this film, and the writer, David Gwynn, is amazing. The director is awesome. Everyone is amazing. I highly recommend that you go find the film. I'll put the description link in the description. so that way you can go and find the film and follow it. But this is great. Mexican horror film. What? I normally don't do horror. I was a zombie in a film like eons ago. And then now I get to be an executive producer, which is huge. I mean, we're talking IMDb credit, right? And so I'm really proud of it. And we are in stages and we're moving and grooving. And so that film, it'll be here before you know it. But until then, you want to follow on the journey and just interact with it. So yes, Charcoal Woman, it's going to be amazing. This week's hopes and wishes. So I want to do something where I give you hopes and wishes for this week. My hopes and wishes for you guys, the listeners and viewers, are to be authentic, to be grateful, be mindful, to move in intention, and to live authentically. I already said authenticity, but who cares? It bears saying again. I believe and I feel and I know that if you lead with intention, if you do things mindfully, if you have compassion and empathy for others, if you first look to how can I help and support you as opposed to like, oh, you snubbed me or some kind of negativity. Negativity has no place here. It has no place anywhere. Like whoever thought of the concept of negativity or bad words to tear someone down, screw that guy, like negativity does not exist. I mean, it does. Okay, sure. It does, but it doesn't have to, right? It doesn't have to. Why can't we just love on each other, support each other, lift each other up and help each other? Why can't we be that humanity 2.0? And it's not even a question of why can't we be? It's just, hey, we're going to be, right? Or we're becoming. It is what it is. It's happening. It's already been happening. And we are that humanity 2.0 that lives inside our hearts and will also live in the world. If you are a better human today or tomorrow, then you are part of the solution. So thank you so much for being a good human and contributing to that humanity 2.0, really with all love and respect, most definitely. I want to challenge you. So humanity 2.0 and also myself, Vanessa The Vivacious collab challenge for you, the viewer, watcher, thinker, hopeful. I want to challenge you to go out anytime this week and connect with a stranger, respectively. Be safe. Don't just go up to a stranger in an alley. Don't do that. I'm saying, in a well-lit area, you have a good vibe. Go up to a stranger and say hello. You're on an elevator. Say hi to everybody. Someone sneezes, say bless you, and then say hi. Say hi to the barista and say, hey, you know what? Thank you so much for this coffee. If not for your hands, I wouldn't have this coffee. Just be nice to a stranger that you don't know, or do the opposite and reach out to your friend or family that you haven't talked to in some time, not because you didn't want to, but you were just really swept up with work or what have you, and reach out to them because they are going to appreciate that meaningful connection and contact that you reached out after such a long time, that you thought of them. And for strangers, somebody might be going through something that they really just need someone to talk to, or maybe they're on their last leg that they have no friends and they really just need that human connection. Be that human connection. I challenge you to connect with a stranger, with a friend or family member this week. Just one, as long as you like, 5 minutes, 50 minutes, whatever you want. But that's the challenge this week. If you completed the challenge, make sure to comment on the video, comment on the post for the episode saying, hey, there's a new episode. Comment and let me know what you did. Comment and tell me what you did to complete the challenge of connecting with a stranger, friend, or family member. So look forward to reading those comments. I really want you to do this. So please do this. I promise you it'll be impactful and inspiring. It'll just leave you with happiness, and maybe even something will come from that. So that's the challenge. Accept it or accept it. There is no choice. Don't you love that? My kid loved it when I would just say, oh, well, it's you do what I want or you do what I want. So pick wisely. That's everything. We got through everything in 44 minutes. I thought this was going to be 20 minutes, 10 minutes. You get what you get with me, right? You get what you get. One thing I do want to kind of comment on, and I'll leave you with this, is that I got asked to be on a show, which I'm going to be on the show on the 22nd, which is tomorrow, I guess. And, no. This is another show that I'm going to be a guest on. I'll release the links when it's available. But I was asked, what book do you read that inspires you for Humanity 2.0, so we can kind of curate the show around this essence, for you and Humanity 2.0. And I was like, really, there's not a book per se. What it is the happiness docuseries, and having lived through that experience and realizing that I needed to pivot to focusing on humanity because I interviewed so much of humanity that I had so much perspective and so much to share, whether it be footage or opinion, and then interviewing via podcast. It's in my blood, done it since 2012. Anyway, so I tried to look around my library for books that would be relevant. And so not exactly happiness adjacent, but there's this book here. It is called The Garden of Small Things by Abby Waxman. Back when I was a bookseller for Borders and even Barnes & Noble, but more so Borders, I was asked to read books so that way I knew what I was talking about to recommend to others. Spoiler, the booksellers that you see at Barnes & Noble, they actually read books. They actually read the book. So when they recommend something to you, you want that book. So just want to throw that out there. But that book is so beautifully written, and it starts with death. Starts with a terrible death, but then just the becoming of this woman and her soul and how she interacts with other humans, and the fact that you can become human again when you lose someone so close to you. I've been there, and it's the hardest, trek back out of the darkness that you've ever experienced, but you do get there. So if anyone's dealing with grief or mourning of your spouse or partner, you're going to be okay. And we love you and send you so much love. And so that book really was an interesting concept of focusing on the human experience and humanity as a whole. So I thought that was a really cool book. Even though it takes place in a small environment, it's still really cool. So with that, I leave you with a final thought. I have started doing this now on Humanity 2.0. And when I stop recording, I realized that I want to give a final thought and I never do, much like Jerry Springer and Maury Povich and whomever you can think of that gives a final thought. And then you got the camera that comes closer, right? And kind of zooms in, but we're not going to do that because we don't have the equipment to do that. But also I don't want to do that. That's just a bunch of crap. Maybe we'll increase the music with something meaningful and thought provoking. No. This is too much. Honey, you're doing too much. That's my thing. I do too much, but that's all right. So my final thought is we are incredibly fortunate to have this one life. We have but this one life, and we are incredibly fortunate to have it. Who you are, who you were, who you are becoming, and who you have been. I know I kind of referenced that, whatever. It's good. Moving on. But whoever you were before and who you are now and who you are going to become, that's it. That person is amazing, right? They're amazing because you will do so much. You will inspire so many. You will have lived through so much. And if you don't believe it, stop and look back at your life and look where you are now. If you're in a bad place now, look at the other bad stuff that you survived and now you're here. If you're in a good place, look at all the bad stuff that you had happen and marvel at the fact that you're here. I understand where you are coming from more than you will ever know. And maybe I'll tell you about some of it as we progress during the years. But what I can tell you from the heart is that who you were, who you are, and who you will be is amazing and so fierce and is so worthy of love, of adventure, of achieving all of your hopes and dreams. And you have the ability within you to change lives and to help other people. So let's do that. Let's help other people. Let's change humanity and create that Humanity 2.0 that we know exists, and it's already here. Look for the good things in life. Look for the people that are doing the most good, because those people are the ones that are worth looking at. I believe it was Fred Rogers or someone else who said that, and it's so very true. Look up to those people that are doing good things, help them, encourage them, be part of that change and that goodness, because the world needs that. We need that, and we can be that. So let's be the change. Let's be the positivity. Let's be together and be that Humanity 2.0. And that is the thought of the day. So thank you guys for joining this episode of Vanessa The Vivacious Show. This is a solo cast that is not exactly related to Humanity 2.0 or Are You Happy docuseries or the podcast or my production company. This is just Vanessa The Vivacious Show that existed since 2012, and it's evolved through the years, and it will continue forward thanks to Riverside. Thank you, Riverside, for joining me on this journey. I did submit this challenge to record, produce, and push out out via Riverside, and that's what we're doing. We are continuing forward in doing this with Riverside and also being that voice that says, hey, this is what you can do. This may need some work, but we are Team Riverside all the way, and we just marvel at all the amazing things that they've done. And we hope to maybe partner with Riverside and just do even more things, because I believe in that honest review and that true experience. And so that's why it was so important for me to bring this show back and do it through Riverside 100%. So there's no other platforms being used, even though for my own show, I like to use Premiere as well and Compliment and etc., what have you. But that being said, thank you for joining us on Humanity's... Sorry. I knew I was going to do that at least once. Thank you for joining us on Vanessa the Vivacious Show. We will see you next Wednesday for another Vivacious episode. And above all, don't forget to be vivacious. See y'all next week. Vanessa the Vivacious Show is brought to you by Vanessa the Vivacious Productions. Be sure to like, share, follow, and subscribe on all platforms at Vanessa the Vivacious. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode where we showcase Riverside and utilizing that platform to host, edit, and push out the episodes for Vanessa the Vivacious Show. Above all, don't forget to be vivacious. See you next week.